For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble, 30 minutes of time-wasting fun. And it's strange encounters of the internet age on the show today, and it starts right after this.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How do you like to learn the secret to losing 3 to 5 pounds a week without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt RX. For the last 2 decades, we've helped countless people lose thousands of pounds. And now, it's your turn. Learn how to lose weight with one simple phone call and no prescription needed. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a risk-free money-back guarantee. So, if you're ready to start losing weight, call right now and get a free month supply with your first order of Body Sculpt RX. Call now. You have nothing to lose but the pounds. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. That's 800-459-6838.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. There's so much talk these days about identity theft and being hacked, right? I mean, we hear all the time. It's scandalous when a celebrity has their it's the cloud. Well, the stuff that's stored in the cloud, and somebody hacks in and gets into your cloud and leaks your nude photos and things like that. And I mean, there's the two sides of the coin, because if you go and say, well, then you shouldn't have taken those pictures in the first, well, then you're victim blaming, right? And why are you blaming the victim? But here's the deal. We use that word victim so easily these days, right? Because if I were to cross the street, not at a crosswalk or not at an actual pedestrian walkway, and I get hit by a car, I'm the victim because it's the innocent person versus the big, scary, speeding car, and their driver who wasn't watching, blah, blah. At the same time, though, I'm the idiot asshole who knowingly crossed at the wrong spot and walked in front of a speeding car, right? So naturally, we assume the victim is the pedestrian that got hit because they're more vulnerable. I guess you'd look at it that way, right? But at the end of the day, well, I would think the driver was the victim because he or she didn't see it coming, and they're not expecting a person to all of a sudden just run across the street or walk in front of them. Yes, when you're driving, you're at fault because you should be in control of the vehicle, blah, blah. I get it. I'm not saying... So we're quick to sort of appoint who the victim is in a lot of situations. So now when it comes to the idea of getting hacked and whatever, well, you're blaming the person who got hacked, so it's not their fault. But at the same time, here's the deal. You're putting your private information, your private photos, in trust to another entity, to another, a platform. It's one thing to have, Polaroids or, individual photos in your house, but you're incorporating technology, which, I don't know, I just feel like if you're old enough to be using a phone and know how the internet works and know, you should have some sort of, intelligence about, I know what hacking is. Oh, I've heard about hacking. Oh, I guess I could get hacked. So don't have that crap on your phone if you don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. I mean, that's just kind of what it is at the end of the day. So, I mean, full disclosure for me, and this is where people are going to go and say, well, you're ugly. Nobody would want pictures of your naked body, blah, blah. Well, I'm married too, first and foremost, but I've never taken photos like that, just ever, because here's why, is because years ago, I wanted people to like me for me and appreciate me for who I am. That's why I got into radio and newspaper. So I'm not an ugly person. I'm not unattractive. For a 40-year-old guy, I mean, you have to remember that I'm also married to a Brazilian fitness model. So we don't have a whole shitload of junk food and everything in our house anyway, right? So there is a level of fitness that I'm getting at. So I'm not overweight. I can eat garbage, but we definitely do get a lot of exercise. So it's not a matter of me not liking my body or being shamed by my body. I've just never felt like, when I was first getting to know my husband, I wasn't sending pictures like that because why would I want him to just like me for my body? He didn't see me undressed or even shirtless until quite a while into it. We had known each other. We were corresponding because he was a listener. Do I have to go through the whole story? Yeah, I should. When I was on the radio years ago, he was listening in from Brazil, and we had emailed. This is going back quite a while now. We were emailing back and forth. It wasn't on Facebook, so we didn't see each other. I had no idea what he looked like. Maybe there was a picture of me on like the radio station website, but there was nothing like that. And so we had corresponded by email back and forth for a very long time, and then eventually we ended up doing video chatting. But again, the video chatting wasn't anything. It was me, with my dogs on my couch and stuff like that. There was never skin. It wasn't anything like, "Hey, show me your dick." Hey, no, because I don't know, just whatever. And he's amazingly hot and gorgeous and tanned and tattooed and ripped and whatever. Trust me, I was wanting to see it, but I'm just not the type of person. Like, that's not what I was wanting. So for me, there are no half naked or even, there are no naked selfies, in the mirror. Because I said half naked because that's all you see people doing is in the gym, right? The half naked pictures in the mirror and whatever and flexing, and I yawn. I'm like, whatever. So for me, I've never done them. I'm not taking pictures and sending them out because you're gonna like my body, you're gonna love my stomach, you're gonna love my ass. So sorry, let me just, now that I'm saying it, back way, way, way back in the day, when you had like a webcam and MSN Messenger, and the novelty of kind of video chatting with somebody, and you would see the grainy I showed my ass to one person. So so full disclosure, then yes, but it wasn't me taking a photo and sending it. I guess he technically could have taken a screenshot of it, but like, whatever. Like I said, it was an ass. So there you go. So if that ends up coming to light 25 years later, so be it, Anyway, so my point is that it's hard to have sympathy for people like that. You got hacked and now you've got to, okay, well, you kept them on a device that you give access to a lot of different people, right? When you're downloading apps and crap like that, you're granting them access to it too. So are you a victim in that instance? Are you really? If that's, I don't know, right? When you start looking at it that way, when you start picking it apart and going, you gave all of these apps permission to access your photos, your contacts, your whatever. Are you a victim? No, because you hit the button that says yes or agree or, accept or whatever it said. You did it. If that's how your information got out. But so that's what I'm saying is that you've got your phone and now you've got 15, 20, 25 apps, all these different, sources of access. There you go. So it leads me to an Ask JB question that we got. And there's a company that got... I don't even try to let me. I was going to say the industry, but I don't. I won't say the industry, but basically somebody who does social media for a company had been on the receiving end of scantily clad pictures from a follower or customer, whatever, somebody who follows their Instagram page. And I guess they'd had kind of a back and forth relationship. It's company policy that you can't give your own personal information, but it's like, oh, hey, I handle the social media for the account, so just message me here kind of a thing. And so this business account ends up getting a couple of pictures of the person. Well, the employee who's who's managing the account, who's corresponding with the followers or customers, whatever it is, happened to take a screenshot or save the photo that was sent. Well, the person who sent it, the nudie person or whoever, ends up going ballistic and says, I just got a notification that you took a screenshot of what I sent you. I didn't authorize that. Delete it right away. I'm going to report this, blah, blah, blah. And is just losing their shit because now all of a sudden the trust is broken and it's like, hey, wait a second. I sent you a picture and you took a screenshot of it. Delete it. I didn't authorize that. So therein lies the issue here because I don't know. I see it as being cut and dry. I'm sorry. You willingly sent a picture to a corporate account of your dick or whatever it was. You willingly sent it. I mean, now it's one thing if they go and distribute it, okay? So that's where you're crossing the line. If you're distributing it, you're posting it, that could be considered revenge porn, which we know is illegal. So I'm not defending that. I'm just saying somebody who takes the screenshot of it. Now, depending on where you are, maybe it is illegal to do that. But at the same time, you are sending it to a company account. So what's to say that, because I know that there's a lot of people, it's not just one person who has access to a social media account, right? I mean, we have for Speak Free Media, we've got a Twitter account. More than one person has access to my Twitter account in my company. Because, I mean, the truth, and I've said this many times, I have no interest in social media. And I would almost hedge to bet that 95% of the tweets you see coming from my account, I did not do and haven't even seen them. You can ask me what I tweeted last week or yesterday, I would have no idea. Unless it was me live tweeting Bachelor or something, I have no idea what was tweeted from my account. So that would be like saying, John Smith sends JB a dick pic on Twitter and gets a notification that says, oh, hey, wait a second, Jeremy Bradley's account just took a screenshot of this. Okay, but there you go. So how do you know who it is? Now, like I said, you can take issue if all of a sudden it's like, hey, this is the picture that I sent Jeremy and now it's being tweeted out by Jeremy. Sure, absolutely that's wrong. No question, no doubt about it. But it's just being saved to a phone. We have, now I got to tell you, is that if through our exchanges on different programs, with the different programs that we have, the accounts and things that set up, if you send it to us, it automatically will save it, right? Just no different than when you had MSN Messenger, let me refer to that again, is that it would save a chat log on your computer. Right? Somebody would send a picture, it would just automatically save it in your history. You didn't have to do anything. It just did it. And so this person is saying, well, this guy is threatening now to go to the corporate office because I took a screenshot. I mean, the employee is admitting that they saved it, but didn't do anything with it. It just, the guy got a notification that the picture was saved or taken a screenshot. And is going ballistic, and the employee is, worried about either losing a job or what have you. And I said, at the end of the day, though, I don't know the rules. I mean, maybe if you were to, now, because it's being sent to a company account, so maybe it's technically company property. So if you did it on your own phone and now again, if the company is expecting you to use your own phone, then it's your own phone. I've always had an issue with that. See, and I've talked about that on this show probably a couple years ago. I've never liked that idea. If I've ever worked in a place where they want to communicate with me on my own personal device for work purposes, no, you give me a phone. If you want me to do, let's say, social media, like if I was to apply for a job and I was going to be doing no, you give me a phone. That's how it's going to work. I'm not using my own. I don't even care that you're paying for it or whatever. Like you'll reimburse me for my monthly. No, it's my phone is separate than work. So if you're using a company's phone, then I can understand that being the case. But if they're expecting you on your own phone, your own device, I mean, maybe that's a gray area. Maybe we need to talk to an employment lawyer or a privacy lawyer or something. I mean, that's why I've always wanted to separate it. And I years ago when I did work for other people, I would say that they would ask for, a cell phone number, whatever. And it's like, you're not no. I'm not having staff calling me and asking me questions. Like, this is my personal cell phone. And I would still, to this day, don't do that. I've got a work phone. I've got a personal phone. If somebody hires me to do contract writing, whatever, you use the work phone. You're not calling me on my fucking personal phone. My work phone has certain hours and things like that. That's how we're doing it. So tell me your thoughts. There's a whole bunch of stuff packaged into that story. Who's in the wrong? Who's in the right? Who do you side with in that one? The guy who sends the random dick pic to a company's account. Is the employee on the receiving end wrong for taking a screenshot? Hey, maybe that's a compliment. Hey, you got a nice body. I want to save that picture. Now, let me I'm saying it one more time. We don't know that the employee did not go and share that. It's not revenge porn. They've gone and exploited this person. Just took a screenshot of it and, kept it for their own personal use, perhaps. I don't know. So who's in the wrong? The guy who's just randomly think about that, right? That's like going onto the Walmart Instagram page and going, here, I bought this new bra. What do you think of my tits? Like, okay, sure, thanks for that, right? So in that scenario, who's right, who's wrong, who do you side with? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Quite honest, and I'm going to be honest, I would... Yeah, if it was somebody who's got, a hot body or whatever, I'd take a screenshot. Why not? Yeah. Obviously you're wanting to show off, right? Like, why else would you flash that to me? Like, you're an exhibitionist. Okay. Maybe it's after doing that, that's when the person is like, oh shit, I didn't think that they could save it. Well, I mean, you did it though, right? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, back on the Scribble right after this.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, Poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer. Save the money, save the hassles, and get the better blue pill. Dial 800-578-0179. That's 800-578-0179. 800-578-0179.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, and your back. Oh my God, your back. They're constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore, am I right? Well, here is something you haven't tried. Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is not available in any drugstore. The only way to get it is by calling today. We're so confident that it will work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase, no prescription needed, and best of all, each purchase comes with a money-back guarantee. Call now to find out how you can get Pain Absolve and get rid of your pain. Call 800-319-0582. That's 800-319-0582. 800-319-0582. Call today, 800-319-0582.
Sure. Okay. Jeremy Bradley here. You just caught me mid-conversation with my team here, because what ends up happening, let me give you some behind-the-scenes info here, is that not everybody is privy to the topics of the show before we actually do it. So I have discussions with our producers, Bonnie and Suzanne, and, then we've got our audio guy, Tim. So as they're hearing me, talk about the story, that's where, Tim gets an idea, an opinion, and thought. And so I'm just going to go back to that discussion for a little bit. We're going to talk about odd social media encounters, odd interactions with people from the internet in just a bit. So that's why we were kind of segueing into it. But we're going to go back here, because the question that I asked you was like, who was in the right, who was in the wrong? And my colleague Tim says, well, first of all, anybody who's sending dick pics or whatever to a corporate business account, first and foremost, that's inappropriate to begin with. I mean, that's, and I gave the example of, Walmart or whatever. I mean, think about that. Now, I don't care how flirty the conversation is, whatever. Then take it offline. Take it to, like I said, the personal account wasn't allowed to be shared or whatever. But then it's kind of like, well, yeah. So the first wrong thing was a guy believing that it was okay to send, dirty photos and not safe for work, and SFW pictures to a company. So that's the starting point of all of this. And so then Tim just said, if the guy would never have emailed or messaged a picture to a corporate account, then this would, and who's to say that there wasn't a shift change, or that an executive just happened to get, the marketing person happens to go in and have access to that too, right? So, I mean, you don't even know what happened. You don't know the behind the scenes. So there's that. There's this whole, consent thing of if it wasn't asked for or wasn't solicited and the guy just randomly sends a picture, then that's on the guy. And that's where it kind of went wrong in the first place. So you kind of flip it around and say, excuse me, then why are you sending dirty pictures to a business account in the first place? And like I said, it takes it to another level. If yes, then it was gone and spread around the internet or the office, whatever, sure, that's different. Well, I don't even know then. If it was shared around the office, if it didn't leave the building, then I don't know. We get a lot of things, trust me, we've had a lot of things sent in to us at our swimwear company. But we're not in the business of doing that. It's kind of like, whatever. People are sending pictures of their underwear because they just bought it, and that's great. I mean, that's a completely different audience, though, that, these people love showing off their underwear, and it's a totally different thing. It's almost expected that you're going to get dick pics, but again, that's not anything that you can really share on Instagram, because, you get in trouble for nudity and crap like that. So, I mean, anyway. All right, so let's move on, though, to the next topic, which I was going to get into, was odd encounters on social media. I'm not talking necessarily about, bad, blind dates or hookups or anything like that, but just have you had any sort of weird interactions? Now, it could be anything from you're out in public and you're kind of like, I've seen that person somewhere before. And then you realize they were on Grindr, or they were, I saw them on a dating app, or I saw them on... So have you ever had anything like that? Or maybe you've even met up with somebody because you didn't know that you knew them. Like I had an instance, now this is many, many years ago, that I, through the course of conversation with the person, that like, oh yeah, well no, what are your hobbies? Oh, I do this, I play baseball or whatever. Oh yeah, my cousin plays baseball too. Oh, yeah, I'm in this such and such league. No kidding, that's what my cousin is. And then then you find out that the person knows your cousin, right? So things like that. So I had a really, it wasn't creepy. It wasn't scary. The person wasn't intimidating. So many years ago, back when I was covering Canadian Idol, that was a TV show a long time ago. It's not on the air anymore. But the show Canadian Idol was very, very big. It was the same time American Idol was in its prime. And I was just starting out in radio. I was actually still broadcasting from my parents' basement. I would record a show on Sunday nights, and then I would blast it out to a bunch of different stations for Monday morning. And so because I was in Canada, I wanted to sort of get into entertainment reporting, and I was telling stories about entertainment news, but I wasn't interviewing people. I wasn't kind of getting right in there. And so my first opportunity with covering an actual event was Canadian Idol. Believe it or not, by the way, first full circle moment, the publicist who worked at CTV, at the TV network there, she now is at Apple. And it was really funny because several months ago, we had reached out to do an interview with somebody from an Apple show. And all of a sudden I get the email back, oh, hey, Jeremy, it's so-and-so. Yeah, I left CTV and I'm here now. And I just thought, well, that's pretty crazy because, I've known her for like 20 years. I didn't even realize that anyway, so I was covering Canadian Idol, and I had... Like I said, I would record shows and then they would air. And because this was internet radio at the time, people could tune in from anywhere, anybody. So there was a guy who was tuned in from Toronto, and he desperately wanted to be an entertainment reporter. He was forever sending me, he would get press releases, or he would, because he knew somebody, he was in the know, and hey, I've got this. And, he was always kind of sending me information. And truthfully, a lot of times it was already a day old news, so I didn't even need it. But great, he was interacting. He liked what I did, and he was, I guess, envious that I had, access to different things. And so I had told people on the radio, I said, and you know what, I'm covering Canadian Idol in Toronto next week. I'll be live, from the red carpet or whatever it is. And so all of a sudden, I get an email the morning that I'm going to be leaving from Winnipeg to go to Toronto. And so as I'm getting ready, like I said, I'm in my parents' basement. I'm not a grown adult yet. I'm still, under mommy and daddy's care. And so it's like 5 a.m, whatever the hell time it is. And now this is before the day that you had email coming to your phone. This is way before social media. This is way before all of those different channels. And so I happened to go to the computer. I logged in. I don't know if it was AOL or whatever the hell my email address was at the time. And I can't remember his name. Was it Matthew? I don't even know. Let's say it was Matthew. And I see that there's an email from him. I didn't read it because, again, it was just sort of like, he's wanting to talk shop and he's not in the same shop that I'm in. And so I'm getting ready. Then all of a sudden I go back to the computer. There's another email from him. From the time that I opened the email and left and went and did my thing, packed, whatever I was doing. So I come back, there were 3 emails from him before I left Winnipeg. And one of them was, oh, have a safe trip, maybe we'll cross paths in Toronto, blah, blah. Well, that's nice, right? So I just replied, I said, oh, actually, funny, I'm just leaving Winnipeg now and I'll be at the show tonight. So naive, so innocent. I'm just like, oh my God. So I'm in Toronto, I'm doing my thing. I was living the baller lifestyle as well, because it was kind of, like the first time you go to LA, you're going to stay in like the fanciest of fancy hotels just because it's LA and that's what you do. Now I'm just kind of like, I have a place there, so but anyway, so I had a town car, I had a driver, I wasn't navigating the streets of Toronto, screw that. So my hotel was just on the outskirts of Toronto. I was driven in because why not? And again, remember, like I said, this is before Uber and all this crap. And so I get to the theater and people are outside. Again, Canadian Idol's a big deal at the time. So the driver gets out and opens the door for me. People come rushing to the car thinking I'm a celebrity. That was actually the funniest part of the whole thing. And so then they see this like really young looking guy come out, right? Because I've always had a very youthful look. So, and especially when I'm 20 something, I look like a teenager. I look like somebody's kid. So the driver comes, opens the door, people come rushing, and then they're like, I don't know who he is. And so I'm carrying my laptop bag, and I go in. And the lobby of the convention center is just packed with people, right? You've got, 2,000, 3,000 people coming in. There's just, chaos there. Think about a concert before, or a hockey game. When you're outside and you're waiting to go in, it's a sea of people everywhere. So I go in and, I'm going into the press room. I'm not going to the regular auditorium. I'm not going with the common folk. I'm going with the media people. And so I'm in there and all of a sudden I hear my name. Kevin, by the way, is the guy's name. Kevin is his name, not Matthew. And so I get into the lobby, and all of a sudden I hear Jeremy. And you have to remember, there's literally hundreds of people around me. I'm just like, where am I hearing this? Who is that? Okay, up there? And all of a sudden I look to the right, and there's this guy, Kevin. And because he had emailed me a picture of him beforehand, many weeks earlier, and so I was kind of like, oh... He's like, oh, you made it. Yeah, good. No, I was hoping I'd, see you because I said I hope to cross paths, blah, 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 or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, okay, cool. So he's like, I'm going to a drag show after, with a couple of my friends, if you want to be my, if you want to come. And I said, you know what? I don't know how long this night's going to be because we have the press room. There's going to be a press conference after. There's questions, interviews. So I don't even know. And I don't want to have you, hanging around. Oh, okay, well, here, let's just go. And there was a coffee shop just to the right. Oh, I'll write down my number for you. Because, again, this is before social media, all the other crap. And so I said, you know what, just email me. Like, well, we'll connect again, I'm sure. Because, here's the deal, right? You've got to be nice because I'm the on-air personality. I can't be an asshole to this guy. He's not doing anything incredibly wrong, just so much as it is annoying and a little bit creepy and clingy. And so he was nice. There was nothing, threatening about him. And so I said, okay, great. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go check in at the media table. Oh, it's just down the escalator. Okay. You know that how? Think about it, right? Because the general public would have no idea that that's even a thing. The average person, the average Canadian Idol viewer, the average person is not going to think, oh, there's going to be a media room. Oh, there's a press room. I mean, they might. People are now a little bit more tuned into how things work. But certainly back then, like the average, I would say like 99% of the people in that building that were going into the theater would have had no idea there's a press room 2 floors down and, all the media's there eating and drinking and there's cameras and lights and everything. Like people just wouldn't have known that. So the fact that he knew that, first and foremost, I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And he said, yeah, I'll show you where it is. Okay, great. So we go down the escalator. There's, like I said, we're 2 floors down. So we go down one escalator, we turn, we go down the next one, and the media check-in table is right at the bottom of the escalator, right when you get there. And so I said, hi, Jeremy Bradley checking in. And it's like, oh, okay, great. So I turned to the guy and I was like, okay, great. Thanks for meeting me, whatever. I'm going to go now. He kind of takes a couple steps back, and then I go. And then the president of CTV at the time, president of communications for CTV, his name is Scott, he says to me, oh, Jeremy, did your friend find you? Yes, he did. And if you could call security, and, because, I didn't say that. But do you know what, it's just kind of weird because, wait a second, how does this guy Scott, a VP, a president, or whatever, of the TV network, think this guy is my friend, first and foremost? What did this guy was he asking for me? Like, how do they know? How does the PR team know that this dude Kevin is looking for Jeremy? Like, or that we know each other or something like that? How did he pass this off as being my friend, right? Like, it's a little bit strange. And so I said, yes, he did find me. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. And so then Scott kind of was escorting me then to the press room. And this is one of those things where you're going, like, at the airport when somebody's leaving and, you're waiting, you're watching them leave, and then they kind of do that final turnaround and the final wave, and then they go through security or whatever it is, right? This is kind of what it was. I'm walking down, like, the hallway of the convention center, and the guy is standing there still waiting. And I feel like I've got to, like, sort of turn around and wave, and I was still very new in this whole business, so I didn't have that great of a relationship with the publicists and stuff like that, so I didn't want to go and say, like, that guy's a freak. Like, I don't even know who he is. He was, like, waiting for me in the lobby, and because, like I said, it wasn't threatening. I didn't feel like he was gonna, stalk me, harass me, whatever, but it was, you got to admit that, he knows where the press room is, and then, an executive of communications at the TV network knows that a friend was looking for me. That it's a little bit, So have you had any sort of weird, and again, I'm not talking about like the stalkers who are, sitting outside your house, whatever, just any sort of weird encounters with somebody from the internet? Send me an email. Hey, everybody has a story. I'm fairly certain everybody has a story. live@jbonair.com. Back on the Scribble right after this.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter @The Scribble Show and @thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley on the Scribble. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye for now, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter @thescribbleshow. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some